So Bill and I are photographers, not videographers. So when we decided to start making these videos for YouTube, we had to learn, number one, what type of video equipment we needed to create the videos, and then number two, what kind of editing we needed to do. So as far as equipment goes, we've done some videos on it here, but the editing part took a little bit of learning. We do all of our editing now in Adobe Premiere Pro. It's really a great program. It can do really anything that you needed to do as far as if you want to get really involved and really in-depth and complicated. All that stuff is there for you. But if you want to really just keep it simple and just kind of chop up a video and maybe put some pictures in there and add a little bit here and there, it's really great for that also. And that's really kind of what we do. So I really want to share with you here, I'm going to show you in the computer, kind of step by step what we do as far as importing videos, importing other media, getting it into the timeline, editing it, maybe a few shortcuts that we use here and there, and how we really just kind of complete from beginning to end one of our videos into something that we can share online. So if you're looking for something simple, that's something you want to create for YouTube or just sharing with your family and friends, I think you might find this interesting. So let's jump into the computer and I'll show you what we do. So Adobe Premiere Pro is part of the Adobe Creative Cloud. I'm still using Premiere Pro 2018. Which has always worked for me. I was reading about the 2019 version online and people were having problems with it, so I decided to just stay with 2018. It works fine for what we needed to do. So when you open up the program, it's going to give you a list of other videos that you've been working on, so you're going to want to start a new project. You're going to call it whatever you want. Let's see, I'm working on a video for the Canon RF 50mm 1.2 lens, so I'll call it that, and hit OK, and now you basically have a blank slate to start working with. So the first thing you need is a video to put in here. So the one I'm working on, I'm going to go into this here. I created this video. I'm going to drop it into, now you can drop it into the timeline, or you can drop it over here into the media section, which I like to do. If you drop it into the timeline, if there's other things in there, it might not go into the right place. So you're just going to drop it into the media section over here on the left, and now you've got a little video. It's 12 minutes long, sitting over here in your media. Everything else is still blank because you haven't created anything yet. So then what you want to do is grab your media over here and drag it to the right into the timeline, and now you basically have started a project. So the project is going to be whatever video you just dragged in, and then you can add things and edit things from that. It's broken up here into two separate lines. This top line here is the video part of it, and the line below it is the audio part, and you can edit those separately. And this is where you're basically going to begin. This is your groundwork for your whole video right now. So looking around the screen, and this is just a basic screen. You can customize this to however you want, to really do whatever you want to it. But up over here on the left-hand side, you have basically simple edits and parameters for the media that you're showing here on the timeline. So you have position and scale. If I take the scale and drag it up, it's going to make it bigger. Drag it down, makes it smaller. I can edit it that way. I can change the position left and right. I can change the position up and down. So that's where you're going to control, the basics of the video. There's other things that you can do here. You can change the opacity, you can change other basic things here. And down below, under the audio, you can change things like volume, basic edits for things like that. Over here on the right-hand side is where you're going to be able to do a little bit more editing and adjusting the video and audio portion. Over here is where you have just basic color sliders. And if you use Adobe Lightroom, these are all going to look very familiar to you. It's, basic edits that you can do. You can change the exposure. You can change the contrast, but that's where you can make some simple edits. You can adjust the color temperature here. You can adjust the saturation, and then if you want to get even more involved, you can do more complicated editing. But, we want to kind of keep it simple and not have to do too much editing there. If I want to edit the audio, same thing. I want to make sure that this piece of media is selected, and on the top, right now it's selected color, which we were doing here. You're going to select audio. And now I can select, this is all dialogue, so I can basically go in here and make simple or complicated edits to my dialogue. I really don't ever have to do much other than occasionally down here adjusting the volume. If it was recorded a little bit low, I can bring the volume up, or vice versa. If it was recorded a little bit too loud, I can bring the volume down there. Not much that you need to do here in the audio. If you're in a situation where there's a lot of background noise and other things that you need to
correct and repair in the audio. There's a lot of different things that you can do here, which we can get into. You really don't need to do much in here other than, like I said, a basic volume control. Now, I recommend when you have a long clip, this is a 12.5-minute clip that you're going to be editing at some point, cutting up or something, I would recommend any edits that you do to the video or to the audio, like colors, exposure, volume, things like that, do that before you start editing everything. Because right now, any edit that you make is going to be universal to this entire clip. Once you start cutting it up, you're going to be making edits only exclusively to the exact clip that you've selected. It's going to be basically broken up into pieces. So if you're going to make an edit and it can kind of be made universal across the board, just do it before you start editing, before you start cutting up. So let's say once you've done that, you have everything in place the way that you like it. I'm actually going to increase the scale on this just a little bit and move it up just a little bit. I like that a little better. So now I'm ready to start editing. So now I know when I recorded this, I really didn't start any of the audio. You can kind of see I'm walking around the room here, cleaning things up in the background. So I really didn't start the audio until I get to over here. So that's where I want my video to begin. So this is where you're going to want to start editing. And there really aren't a lot of editing commands that you need to know, but once you know them, it's really easy to use and you're going to want to be able to access them quickly and easily. So you can set up your keyboard however you like it, and you can set certain keys to whatever editing tool you want. So basically what I did is I went into here, you go into the menu up here, you can go into keyboard shortcuts, and here's your keyboard and here's all the commands that come basically preset in the program. And you can, like I said, change these to whatever you want them to do. Now, the basic commands that I use are the spacebar here, which is basically to start and stop the video. The X, which adds an edit, which I'll show you how that works. The ripple delete is an important edit. It basically deletes everything from the point that you have selected and after and kind of moves the whole video back together. And the undo button, which is very important, which you're going to be doing a lot of undoing, so you're going to want to have that handy. But I selected these 3 buttons for the basic commands that I use all the time, so now I can lay my hand on the keyboard. With my thumb, I can start and stop the video, and with my fingers, my 3 middle fingers, I can add an edit, I can delete, and I can undo. If I made a mistake, I can undo something without having to move my hand, my left hand, off the keyboard. My right hand controls the mouse. My left hand is basically stationary on the keyboard, and I can do all my editing without having to move around at all. So I have it set up like that. The first edit that I want to make is chop off this top, beginning portion here. Now there's a slider on the bottom here where I can stretch my timeline out to really get a lot more exact in my editing. So now this goes from 2 minutes and 40 seconds to 2 minutes and 48 seconds. This is only an 8-second span of video on here, where if I go back here and stretch this out again, now in my timeline I've got a full 12.5 minutes showing here. So if you want to dig in a little bit deeper and get more exact, I want to bring this first edit, now this blue line is where I'm editing, to right before I start the audio. Now the audio, you can see down here on the bottom, there's nothing happening here, and right here is where, and like you did with the left and right, you can actually go up and down, and I can stretch out my audio and get even more exact. You can see where the audio starts in here. So now my very first edit is going to be that X button, which is the edit. And basically what that does is that chops this into 2 pieces, everything before and everything after. I'll stretch it out, you can see everything before I'm not going to need, everything after is when I'm going to start editing. So that just basically made a cut right through the timeline right here. Now I can hit clear, which I'll show you what that does. It basically just clears out the area of video and audio that I just deleted, but leaves an empty gap in the beginning of my video, which I don't necessarily want. So I'm going to undo that. And the way I want to get rid of this and have the entire timeline move back to 0 is with the ripple delete. Now I have my V key set for that, but I'll right click on it and show you ripple delete here. And now it basically takes my entire video. It deleted everything before the edit, and it took the entire thing and pulled it to the left back to 0. So now I'm starting right where I want to start. And basically all I need to do from this point forward is watch this video and edit it wherever I need to edit it. If I mess up a line, I cut that part out. If I am transitioning to another video, which I'll show you later, I put all of my edits in here wherever I want them. So I can see right away that there's a gap here. I was probably collecting my thoughts. So if I want to edit out a piece in the middle, again, I can stretch out my timeline so I can get more exact. I can go right to the end of my dialogue, hit X to add an edit, I'm going to go to the end of this empty section here before I start talking again. Hit X. Now I've got this part here that I want to delete. Again, I can hit clear and just clear it out, but now I have that gap in the middle there. So if I hit ripple delete, it pulls that part out and drags everything after the edit on the timeline over to the left, creating a nice seamless edit. Well, pretty seamless. There are ways to make transitions. I'll show you that a little bit later. It's very simple. But that's basically how you're going to edit, how you're going to cut up your video into something that's ready to be shared. You know, it started out at 12.5 minutes. I'm already down to 9.5 minutes. This video will probably end up being like 6 minutes long once I'm done, after I cut out all the little pieces and edit everything out. So about that transition, right now it's a little bit choppy. You can see it just kind of skips from one frame to the next. So if I want to make that a little bit more smooth and seamless, there are transitions. Now there's a ton of different transitions you can use, to wipes and stars and swirls and all of those things. But if you really just want a basic transition from one piece of media to the next, apply default transitions. It's a right click on the break and then hit apply default transitions. Now you can reset your default transition to be whatever you want, but this is basically a dissolve from one section to the next. And then you can edit that. I don't need an audio transition where I'm going to have basically talking in the beginning, talking in the end. It's going to carry over. So I can clear off the audio part of the transition. So now I'm just left with the video. Now if I let this play, it's going to be a little bit too transition-y, like that. So now I can either click this and drag it down to whatever length I want, or I can right click it and click set transition duration and change. Now this is in frames over here on the right. This is 14, so this is 14 frames. I can change it to whatever I want. Typically I'll end up only using maybe 2 frames or 4 frames. So if I set this for 4 frames, bring it back before, hit play, and you can see it's kind of a nice smooth transition between the two. I could even go less than 4. I could take it down to maybe 2 frames. I just deleted that, but I hit undo. And I can easily go back in here, change it to 2 frames. And now it's a nice smooth transition. So edits are easy, deleting sections that you don't want there are easy, and transitions are very easy. And honestly, if this is all you need in your video, this is really all that you need to do. You can basically watch this thing back, make sure all your edits are good, make sure everything looks good, and then you're done. You can just export it. But what if you want to add other media? We're usually adding sometimes other videos. We're adding pictures in when we're showing examples of things. So how do you do that? That's very easy also. The same way that you imported the video into your media section over here, you're going to import any other things that you want to bring in. Videos, logos, pictures, things like that. So let me grab a picture, drop it into the media, and now it's in here. Now I can bring it over into my timeline wherever I want. Now if I wanted to put this picture into the video, actually have a break in the video and put this inside, or if I wanted to insert something between 2 edits, basically all I need to do is hold down Control or Command key on the Mac, drag it over, make sure I'm on the actual video part of the timeline, and let go. And now you can see, I expand this, you can see it actually put the picture in between these 2 edits. And there it is there. We can change the size when we're ready, and I actually inserted it between 2 pieces of edit. Now if you don't want to do that, if you just want to lay it on top, and again I can just hit undo and it takes that right out again. If I want to lay this picture on top of the video and have myself still talking in the background, let's say, the way to do that is to grab it and drag it over here. And now you can see I can put it on any one of these separate video lines up here. I can put it wherever I want. So I can drop it right here. And now there's my picture sitting on a separate track from my other audio and video. So right there, now if I click on it, I've got all the same edits that I had over here for my video track, I now have for my pictures. Now you can see the scale's a little bit too big, so I can bring that down until it fits. It fits right there. I'll make sure I like the way it's framed. And now my picture's ready to go. And the same thing that I did before with a transition between 2 tracks over here, I can get in here and I say, okay, you know what, I don't want the picture to just pop on the screen. I want to maybe have a transition in there. Apply default transitions. I could do it on the beginning and end by right-clicking and hitting apply default transitions. And watch what it looks like. It's a very slow transition, which if you want to do that, you can. Transition in and out. Very easy. If you want to change it, You can double click on it and change the duration manually, or you can just grab it and change it to whatever you want. 6 frames there, 6 frames going out, and watch that again. And it's just a quick little transition. Very easy to put other media into things like this. Now the way this timeline works is it's stacking, so whatever media is on top is the one that's going to show through. So that's why when I have the picture section here, you're seeing the picture and not the video underneath it. If I took the video and dragged it up 2 lines above the picture, now when I get to this part, you're not going to see the picture because the video is taking precedent. So that's a great easy way to add additional media to your video, and the same edits and everything apply to any layers of media. Everything basically works the same way. Now if you're working on something, you want to make sure, now let's say I have this underlying video totally complete. I'm going to add some things to it, but I don't want to mess with this thing at all. There's a lock over here. You can click that and you can see how this is grayed out. I can do the same thing with my audio. Now no matter what I do to any other part of this, it's not going to affect this locked area. So I can make sure if I want that I don't accidentally mess anything up or delete anything. You can always use that undo button, which I use all the time, but that's a great way to make sure that you don't accidentally delete something or alter something. And you can change the length of things. So let's say I wanted to add a logo. Let's grab our logo, drop it into the media, and now I can add this to a new track up here. Make sure it's in the right spot. Right now it's not exactly in the correct place, so I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to move it into the corner, and maybe make it a little transparent, 70% there, and you can see through it a little bit. Now I've got my logo in the corner there, but it's only lasting for a few seconds, and then it's going to disappear. So if I want to stretch that out, I just grab it and pull it to whatever length I want. Now this logo is going to be here through the whole video, and now you can see what happened here is, since this logo is on the top track, this is on top of this, and this is blocking the main video track. So let me just show you something. If I made the photo smaller, my video is behind it. It's just being blocked by this photo, which is on a higher track. So the photo would be being blocked by the logo if the logo wasn't off in the corner and mostly transparent. So I can take that logo, drag it all the way to the end. I can make default transition at the end so it kind of fades out. And you can see at the end the logo just kind of fades out over the last few frames. There it goes. So that's a great way to add other little things, little graphics. We like to put our names in here, so something else you can do. Over on the left hand side you can select what tool you're using. I've just basically been using the selection tool the whole time because it works for almost everything. But you can use the type tool and add a little type box in there, and then add your name in there, and now from there you can customize that, make it bigger. Down here you can change the font just like you could with any other text. You can change the colors, you can change the position, and then I can even make it fade just like I did with the logo and with the picture. I can make it fade in and out very easily. So really those are just the basic edits that we use all the time, the basic functions. Like I said, there's a lot more that you can do. This, with this Premiere Pro program, you can really, create a movie. It really does. It's very powerful. There's a lot of things you can do with it. We use it for the basics. I showed you how to add additional video and graphics and stuff on top of your regular video track. Here you can also add music and things and other audio elements in the tracks below your main audio track. And you do that the same way you do with any other video or visual media. You grab an audio track. Now YouTube has a whole bunch of free songs and little quick bits and stuff that you can use, but you can grab any one of these, drag it into your media, and now you've got an audio file here that you can just drag over and plunk it right anywhere you want in your video. And now you've got a music track playing alongside your regular dialogue track. And then the same thing that you want to do if you want to edit the audio up on top here. Select music. Now I can change my volume level. If the music's a little bit too loud, I just want to have it playing lightly in the background. I can drag it way down and get that music set to whatever I want. So this, I would say, for probably 90% of our videos, this is the extent of what we're doing. There really isn't any more to it than this. So then when you're ready to actually finish this and share it, you need to create a single video file that you can share online. So once you make sure you have it saved, it's saving automatically, but you always want to make sure you have it saved. You're going to go to Export Media, and now you have the export settings. So basically you're going to create output name is where you're going to name your video and select where you want it to go. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put Canon RF 50mm 1.2, and I'm going to put it into, let's call it Canon RF 50mm. Save it. And down here, I'm going to just hit export, and then I'm just going to sit back and let it export. It usually takes, for a video this length is about 9 minutes long, it takes, maybe 15 to 20 minutes or so to actually create the video, but once it's done, it's a singular file that you can use to share, to do whatever you want with, to share online or whatever you want. But once you get the basics down of how to edit, and there's really only a few commands that you need to know to do the basics, you can really, go from there. If you want to learn more about it, if you want to find out how to do even more complicated things in here, like I said, ask us questions. There's some things that we still do, and there's a lot of other information online where you can really find out how to get much more involved. Like I said, this program is very powerful. You can do a lot of things with it, or you can do something just as basic as what we're doing here. But once, again, like I said, you get the basic commands down and you understand how this timeline works, which is really pretty simple once you have it figured out, it really is a fun tool to use.
So I hope you found that interesting. If you want to know more about what we do with video editing, there is more that we do outside of just these basic steps. So if it's something that you'd be interested in, more videos like this, definitely put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think, if you think we should be doing more stuff like this about the video editing end of it rather than just the photography stuff. So let us know about that. I'm going to put a link here to a playlist on video related videos that we've done, and I'll put another link here to a video that Bill did on social media and growing your social media through video and photography and everything. Check that video out also. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.